The ceremonial armor had once been Alara's pride. Now, after 12 years sealed within its confines, each metallic plate felt like a shackle against her iridescent skin. "Ambassador Alara, the human delegation awaits," announced Commander Drav, his own exoskeleton gleaming under the artificial lights of the starship. "Remember, you represent all of the Los. Maintain protocol." Alara straightened her posture, feeling the neural connectors along her spine tighten in response. The Thalesian armor was both protection and prison, a biotechnological marvel that enhanced strength while enforcing conformity through pain compliance. Every Thalesian of rank received their permanent armor upon reaching adulthood. It was meant to be an honor. "Of course, Commander," she replied, her voice modulator translating her clicks and trills into smooth English. "The diplomatic corps has prepared me extensively for Earth customs." What she didn't say was how obsessively she had studied human culture beyond the official briefings, particularly their concept of privacy, of having spaces where one could be truly alone. On the Los, the armor's built-in sensors ensured constant monitoring. Even her thoughts weren't entirely her own, with the neural interface logging emotional spikes for review. The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, and Alara watched the blue planet grow larger through the viewport. Somewhere down there, humans moved freely in their soft coverings, changing them at will. The concept seemed dangerously vulnerable yet undeniably alluring. As they landed at the United Earth Embassy in Geneva, Alara felt the familiar pressure in her chest, the armor tightening in response to her unauthorized excitement. She steadied her breathing, using the meditation techniques that had kept her sane these many years. "Ambassador, I must remind you that unauthorized removal of any component of your ceremonial armor is punishable by permanent exile," Commander Drav said quietly as they prepared to disembark. "There have been incidents with previous delegations becoming enamored with human freedoms." "I am aware of my duties," Alara replied coldly. "I've served the diplomatic echelon for 15 cycles without incident." The embassy gleamed with curved architecture, deliberately designed to appear non-threatening to the various alien delegations that visited Earth. As Alara walked down the ramp, the gravity difference made her feel momentarily lighter, though the armor compensated immediately, increasing its weight to maintain her sense of normalcy. Dr. Thomas Bennett, the human ambassador, greeted them with a practiced smile. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Alara. We're honored by your presence." "The honor is mutual, Ambassador Bennett," she replied, performing the formal Thalesian greeting, a complex series of movements that the armor executed perfectly, regardless of her own desire. Later, alone in her quarters, Alara examined her reflection in the mirror. The armor covered her entirely, from the crown of her head to her 6-toed feet. Only her face remained visible through the transparent faceplate, 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinking back at her. The deep purple of her natural skin was visible only in small glimpses at the joints. She pressed a hand against the reinforced window, looking out at the Swiss Alps in the distance. Humans climbed those mountains for pleasure, feeling the wind against their skin, the natural world touching them directly. A notification pulsed at the edge of her vision, Commander Drav requesting her preparation report. Alara sent the standard response, then turned back to the window. For the first time, she allowed herself to fully form the thought that had been growing for years: she wanted out. Not just from this diplomatic mission, but from the armor itself, to feel something directly against her skin that wasn't filtered through layers of metal and circuitry. The armor tightened painfully around her thorax, a warning from the behavioral monitors. Alara forced herself to breathe normally. Somehow, during this Earth mission, she would find a way to break free, even if just for a moment. "The armor seems to be causing you discomfort," observed Kian Wright, head engineer of the Earth Diplomatic Tech Division. Alara stiffened, her armor whirring softly as it adjusted to her sudden tension. "I don't know what you mean." They stood alone in the embassy's garden dome, surrounded by specimens from both worlds. Kian had been assigned as her technical liaison, responsible for ensuring Thalissian technology interfaced properly with Earth systems. Your micro-expressions, he explained, gesturing to her exposed face. Humans study them extensively. Your inner eyelids flutter whenever the spinal connectors engage. Ilara turned away, ostensibly examining a blue orchid. Discussing the armor with outsiders is forbidden. I understand, Kian replied, keeping a respectful distance. But as an engineer, I can't help noticing design flaws. Your exoskeleton was built for a warrior race, yet Thalissian society has been peaceful for centuries. It's ceremonial now, Ilara said quietly. A tradition. Some traditions outlive their purpose. That evening, Ilara found a data packet on her terminal, historical information about Earth's own evolution away from restrictive customs. She devoured the information, learning how humans had shed layer after layer of social constraints across generations. During the next week's negotiations over resource sharing, Ilara noticed Kian watching her from the technical station. When their eyes met, he didn't look away, instead giving her a small smile that sent an unauthorized spike of pleasure through her system. The neural dampeners in your dorsal plate are overheating, Kian whispered during a recess. I could adjust them, make things more comfortable. Why would you help me? She asked. His expression softened. Because choice matters. On Earth, we believe no one should be permanently bound to anything, not technology, not traditions, not even relationships, without ongoing consent. That night, Ilara disabled her armor's reporting function for 5 precious minutes, a trick she'd learned years ago but rarely dared use. Standing before her mirror, she traced the seam where metal met her facial plate, imagining what it would feel like to remove it. For the first time in 12 years, she allowed herself to weep. This is criminally punishable on my world, Ilara whispered as Kian examined the neural junction at the base of her neck. They were in his private workshop, secure from surveillance. We can stop anytime, he assured her, hands steady but not touching the armor without permission. 3 weeks into the diplomatic mission, Ilara had made her decision. The trade negotiations were progressing well, giving her exactly what she needed, time and reason to stay on Earth. No, she said firmly. Continue. Kian nodded, bringing up holographic schematics he'd created by scanning her armor. This auxiliary connector isn't vital to the system. It's redundant, likely added as an extra control mechanism, not for functionality. Ilara's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of nervousness in her species. It will hurt. Yes, Kian confirmed. But it's the smallest component we can safely remove. A test. He prepared a localized electromagnetic pulse device of his own design. Ready? Ilara nodded, bracing herself against the workbench. The pulse fired, and pain shot through her nervous system. The armor tightened convulsively, then a small section at the nape of her neck loosened. With surgical precision, Kian extracted the thumbnail-sized connector. Ilara gasped as cool air touched her actual skin for the first time in over a decade. The sensation was overwhelming, like fire and ice simultaneously. Are you all right? Kian asked, concerned by her trembling. Yes, she whispered, reaching back to touch the exposed patch of purple skin. The contact sent waves of pleasure through her body so intense she nearly collapsed. It's extraordinary. That night, lying in bed, Ilara couldn't stop touching the small exposed area, marveling at sensations long forgotten. The armor's punishment systems had engaged repeatedly, sending pain through her body, but she endured it for the simple joy of direct contact. In the morning, her face showed signs of the overnight pain, darker rings around her eyes, tension in her jaw. Commander Drav noticed immediately. You appear unwell, Ambassador. Perhaps we should have the medical unit examine your armor systems. A minor calibration issue, Ilara lied smoothly. The Earth atmosphere requires adjustments. Engineer Wright is assisting me. Drav's eyes narrowed suspiciously. Remember your position, Ambassador. Do not dishonor the Los. Later, in a secure communication room, Kian showed her something on his tablet, images of other Thalesians who had sought asylum on Earth over the past 20 years, all of them now free of their armor. It's possible, he said simply. Difficult, painful, but possible. Ilara stared at the images, hope and fear warring within her. She reached out, her armored hand meeting his bare one. Help me, she whispered. Please. Unauthorized tampering with diplomatic equipment is a Level 1 violation, the message from Thalesian High Command flashed across Ilara's visual interface. Return to vessel for immediate inspection and replacement. Ilara stood in her quarters, frozen in place as panic threatened to overwhelm her. They knew. Somehow, they had detected the missing connector despite her efforts to mask it. A soft knock at her door broke her paralysis. Kian entered, his expression grave. They're recalling you, he said. Not a question. Yes. The armor must have transmitted emergency protocols when we removed the connector. Ilara fought to keep her voice steady. I have 12 hours to report. Kian stepped closer. We have options. Earth offers asylum to any sentient being seeking freedom from technological imprisonment. It's specifically written into our Sentient Rights Accord. They would never allow it. The armor can be removed completely, Kian finished. It will take time, but I've been working on this for weeks. He revealed detailed schematics on his tablet. There's a central processing node beneath your sternum plate. Once deactivated, the neural interfaces will disengage. And the pain? Ilara asked. Significant, he admitted. But temporary. That night, in a shielded medical facility beneath the embassy, Ilara lay on an operating table as Kian and a trusted human doctor prepared specialized equipment. The initial disconnection will trigger emergency protocols, Kian explained. We'll need to work quickly before the secondary systems engage. The procedure took 6 agonizing hours. Each disconnected neural link felt like losing a part of herself, yet with each separation came a new sensation of freedom. When the central processor finally disengaged, Ilara screamed, a primal sound her voice modulator couldn't translate. Piece by piece, the armor was removed. By dawn, Ilara lay trembling, her entire body exposed for the first time since early adulthood. Her purple skin, patterned with bioluminescent markings, glowed faintly in the dim light. Kian covered her with a soft blanket, careful not to overwhelm her hypersensitive skin. Rest now, he whispered. Later, when they were alone, Ilara reached for him with her bare hand. The touch of skin against skin sent shockwaves of pleasure through her newly liberated nervous system. I want to feel everything, she said. Their first kiss was awkward, her species did not normally express affection this way, but the sensation was intoxicating. As Kian's hands gently explored her newly exposed skin, Ilara discovered pleasures her species had denied themselves for generations. Their bodies moved together tentatively at first, then with growing confidence. For Ilara, each touch was a revelation, each sensation overwhelmingly new. Her bioluminescent patterns flared brilliantly as waves of pleasure built and crashed through her liberated body. Afterward, lying in each other's arms, reality crashed back. Commander Drav would be coming for her soon. I can never go back, Ilara whispered. Kian held her closer. You don't have to. 6 months later, Ilara stood before the United Earth Council, her bare skin adorned only with simple clothing designed for her unique physiology. Next to her stood 3 other Thalesians, former diplomatic and military personnel who had also sought freedom. The Thalesian High Command demands our extradition as stolen property, Ilara stated clearly. They claim we are not individuals but extensions of Thalesian military technology. The council chamber remained silent as she continued. I submit that we are people, not equipment. Our decision to remove our armor was an act of self-determination. After the hearing granted them protected status, Elara and Kian walked along Lake Geneva, her skin drinking in the sunset's warmth directly. Her body had changed over the months, muscles strengthened without the armor's support, nerve endings gradually becoming less hypersensitive. The Thalesian embassy has requested a meeting, Kian said. They're sending a new ambassador. Elara nodded thoughtfully. They want to understand what happened. Will you see them? Yes, she decided. They need to see that I've survived. That we can exist without the armor. When Ambassador Telex arrived 3 days later, Elara was shocked to see subtle changes in his armor design, small modifications that would allow for temporary removal of certain components. Your rebellion has caused quite the upheaval, Telex admitted during their private meeting. Many younger Thalesians are questioning the necessity of permanent armor. It was never necessary, Elara replied. Just convenient for control. That evening, as Elara and Kian prepared for bed in their shared apartment, she noticed her skin's bioluminescent patterns glowing more brightly than usual. Are you alright? Kian asked, concerned. Elara smiled, taking his hand and placing it on her abdomen. More than alright. Our genetic compatibility tests were successful. Kian's eyes widened. You mean? Yes. The first natural Thalesian conception in 10 generations. No genetic programming, no armor interface. She kissed him deeply. A truly free Thalesian. As they celebrated their future, Elara reflected on her journey from prisoner to pioneer. Her armor had been designed to protect her from external threats, but the greatest danger had been the loss of her self-determination. Now, as she lay in the arms of the man who had helped her break free, her body glowing with new life, Elara understood that true protection came not from walls built around you, but from the courage to live vulnerably. Her child would never know the weight of unwanted armor. That alone made every moment of pain worthwhile. In the darkness of their bedroom, Elara's skin glowed like stars, mapping constellations of a future once impossible to imagine. Freedom, she had learned, was not the absence of boundaries but the power to choose them for oneself.